All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Heather McLeod, and I am with OmegaFi's professional services team. And I have with me today Sarah Beth Russell, who will be doing your training. So we're excited to have you all here for our last OmegaRecruit summer webinar. This is I think it's our 6th one of the summer, and we have been excited and have enjoyed training all of you on OmegaRecruit this summer. If anyone in your chapter hasn't been able to make it to one of our webinars, don't worry, we will be sending out the recording of our webinar, and also it will be available on our YouTube channel. To kick us off, I just wanted to start with a brief introduction of OmegaFi and make sure that you all are familiar with our company. So OmegaFi hosts OmegaRecruit, and we have been around actually for more than 30 years. We provide technology solutions to help customers manage their finances, streamline their operations, recruit new members, as you all are getting ready to do, and even communicate with members. So whether it's working with 57 different headquarters or local chapters, house corporations, IFC and Panhellenic councils, and even alumni associations across more than 650 campuses, we remain the industry leader when it comes to technology in the fraternity and sorority community. We are based out of Columbus, Georgia, and we securely process more than $1.1 million per day for our clients, and we've actually securely processed more than $4 billion since 1992. We're also deeply committed to serving and promoting and advancing the fraternity and sorority experience, and we aim to make raving fans with every individual or group that we work with, either by reaching or innovating and acting with agility, which is actually one of our company values. And we challenge ourselves to dream big every day and to help others achieve their own dreams. So to say that we're passionate about what we do is an understatement, and it's this passion that has encouraged our clients to trust us to do the heavy lifting so that you can focus on your mission and having fun. So again, just a brief introduction on OmegaFi. And I'll turn it, or right before I turn it over to Sarah Beth to do the training on OmegaRecruit, I want to make sure that you all are aware of your ability to ask questions throughout the webinar. So in your window there, you should see a question box. And let's actually just test that out real quick. Go ahead and type in your name and your chapter in that question box. And let's make sure that that's coming through okay. And then, so go ahead and submit your names and chapters there. I see those coming in. That's great. Thank you all for testing that out for us. So you see the box there. If you have a question throughout the training, please feel free to type it in there, and we will get to your questions as quickly as possible during the webinar. If for whatever reason we don't get to your question, do not worry, we will send you a follow-up email so that you'll get all of your answers that you have in order to have a successful recruitment. All right, so I will turn it over to Sarah Beth.
Thank you, Heather. So getting right into it, tonight on our agenda, we're going to go over some things to help get you guys ready for recruitment, starting out with some tips for successful recruitment, going over ways that you can prepare for that time, as well as going over login and account setup. So we're going to look at the emails that will come to you guys and that will go to the members as you add them into the system and getting logged in for that. Then we're going to go through the menu of OmegaRecruit to get you familiar with the software. We'll do a trial voting and reporting. As we go through the menu, we will basically be doing a practice recruitment. And then at the end, like Heather said, we will have some Q&A. So if you want to go ahead and start putting questions within the question box, you can, or at the end, we will also have time to go over that as well. With having a successful recruitment, the best thing you can do is be proactive and prepare. The ways that you can do that is getting your members logged into their accounts. So over the summer, when we do our master reset, your users will have to be re-added after you as an admin set up your account. So we just suggest that at least a week before recruitment starts, or even a week before you guys do practice, that you go ahead and get all your users added in and ensure that they are able to log into the system. That will just save some time come day of, so you're not struggling with that you already have everyone able to log in and are good to go for their voting. The second thing you can do is practice. So like I said, today we're going to use the practice files within the system and do kind of a mock recruitment with some voting. So this is just going to help you get familiar with OmegaRecruit and get you feeling more confident with the system. And then the last thing is training. So like tonight we have the webinar that you guys are attending, but we also have in-app help that we'll go over, as well as our support team that can assist you with any questions you may have. But we do have several different tools within OmegaRecruit to be able to give you some of the answers that you may be looking for. And looking at login, as an admin, whenever your account needs to be set up, this is the email that you're going to receive to go ahead and get that set up so you can start adding users. When you receive that, you'll just follow the link, sign in how you have previously signed in if you've already used OmegaRecruit. If not, it'll prompt you to set up your account. And then once you do that, it will have you start setting up your chapter. We'll look at kind of how that process looks tonight when we start going through OmegaRecruit. But to start, typically you'll put in your recruitment dates, and then you'll be good to go to start adding users and so on. And then when you add your users, this is the email that they are going to receive. We did just redo our login process. So the only thing that really they're going to see a change with that is all their accounts should be connected and they'll have that single sign-on. So they'll receive this email. Again, if they have previously used OmegaRecruit, then as long as you've added them with the same email that they previously used, they will be able to log in the same as they were before and be added back in the system. If they have never used OmegaRecruit before, then they will create their account. It will prompt them to do so, and then they will be able to access the chapter and the voting. So for recruitment, we know things can get pretty hectic, so we want OmegaRecruit to be as easy as 1, 2, 3 for you guys. So tonight we've broken it down into 3 different phases for your recruitment. We are going to go over adding you guys' rounds, uploading PNMs, and then uploading parties to simulate that mock recruitment, and kind of just go through what you're going to experience when you set up for real recruitment. Okay, so when you first log in, you are going to come to the setup page here. This page will walk you through each of the steps to set up your chapter for recruitment. Practice files are included on this page here through a clickable link. So all you have to do is click on that to download those. We do suggest that you run through practice recruitment with fake data prior to the real deal. We don't recommend practicing with actual recruitment data, so that's why we provided these files for you guys, and you can download them by clicking on each one, like I said. So for each of the steps that are here, they're numbered, and they also have a clickable link to take you to the OmegaRecruit page where you can complete that step. Those steps are also accessible through the left side menu on the page, but we will go ahead and start with step 1 here, which is adding your rounds. As you can see, this takes us directly to the edit rounds page, and we are going to use the add round button over here to create the rounds for recruitment. you'll notice that the preference banner is always going to follow the last round. So as you continue to add your rounds, that preference banner will fall to the last round. So for this example, we're going to create 4 rounds. And we just suggest that you set up, or it's important to make sure you set up all of your rounds initially, and that's just going to ensure that the system is going to calculate all your scores correctly. Now, if you have rounds stretching over multiple nights, you can still do it as 1 round and close those at the end of each night, and do set up party voting as well to offset that. You don't have to set up multiple rounds if it stretches over multiple days. And notice there is a max allowed round on there, so just be mindful of that. Here, this is where we can switch from open voting to party voting. So for the practice files, we're going to have 12 parties and 9 parties for round 1 and 2. The difference between open voting and party voting just means that with open voting, you will have the full ballot available for your members to vote on, so they can pull any of the P&Ms at any time. The party voting, when you advance each party, is going to show only the P&Ms who are within that round of voting. So within that party, it's just going to make it easier for your members to find them, as well as just quicker for them to make those votes, get them submitted, and hopefully identify those girls, especially if you have multiple people with the same name coming through, but you just talked to Ashley 1 in party 6, then it's going to be easier to find her with that party system. And then here with the pencil icon, we can change the names of the rounds. So we are going to set these up tonight with open house being our first round. We'll do sisterhood for our round 2. Round 3 will be philanthropy. And then round 4, we're just going to name pref. And we will click that save button. And another thing to note on the parties, whenever you're selecting the number of parties, make sure you're selecting the exact number of parties that the round will have. So that's why for the practice files, we chose 12 and 9. So those are the exact number of parties that will be able to be assigned to the P&Ms. And going back to the setup page, you'll now see that step 1 has disappeared. Since we've completed the step already, that is going to disappear as we go along. So we'll go ahead and move on to step 2, which is uploading our P&Ms. So uploading your P&Ms may look a little different depending on the school you're at. If your campus uses ICS, you'll actually connect to ICS, and there will be a button that says import from ICS to pull in all your data information. So this page will look different with that import from ICS button. But if your campus uses Campus Director, then you'll have to download a file of your P&Ms from Campus Director and then upload it here. Now, before you upload it though, you will have to format it in a way that will be uploadable in the system. So we'll look at that in a second. But I do just want to note, even schools that do use ICS, you can still run through practice recruitment. Like I said, you connect to ICS in order to get your members, your P&Ms loaded in, but you can also disconnect as well before recruitment to run through practice with those test files. So just a note there on those chapters. So now looking at the detailed instructions and examples for your file and how it needs to be formatted, your file is going to need to look like exactly what is pictured here with the headers that are mentioned here. So depending on your organization, your headers might look a little different, but basically this formatting, there's no bold, italics, anything like that. It's just plain with the headers and then, the information within each column. Just keep in mind that any special formatting, the reason we say to not have that is it can get in the way of the system being able to read the file. So you'll just want to make sure that it's as plain as possible. With these headers here, they're very important and need to match exactly what is listed. If it doesn't match one of these options, then the system may not accept the file. A pretty common mistake like we'll see is under where it says URL or PNM picture. Sometimes people will just put picture or pic or some other variation of that, and the system will not read it. So just make sure you are following exactly what that header is supposed to say in order for it to be uploaded. And then we do include the option for custom columns here. So if you have any data that you want to include, but there isn't a designated column header, you can label it as custom 1, custom 2, etc. Put that data in the file, and then you'll be able to rename the column headers once the data has been uploaded, which we'll go over a little bit later where you can do that. You'll just need to make sure that you save this as Excel 97-2003 workbook when you are going to save that, or as an XLS file. This is important to helping prevent your file from not being uploaded. So if you want to make sure that that is good to go, make sure you're saving that in the right format as well. So we'll go ahead and choose our file here and select to upload that. And this green box here is letting us know that it was successfully uploaded. Now we do have some warnings down here. This is missing some unrequired columns, which is okay. It's just letting you know that those columns are not in there, but because they're not required, it did not stop the upload. And if there are ever any issues with your upload, it'll list the exact row where that issue occurred. So that's going to allow you to easily fix and identify and fix the issue before uploading the file again. But as we can see, anytime that you have a successful upload within the system, there's a few more pages where we'll do that. You'll see this little green box, and that's going to let you know that you're good to go. And then we can click right here to return back to the PNM list, and we see all of our PNMs here. So the setup page is always going to be in this top left-hand corner on your PNM list page. So if you ever need to return back to the setup, you can click that, or you can close it here. And this page we're looking at is under the PNM dropdown PNM list. So again, to get back to your setup page, you can look here. Step 3 is uploading your users. We already have users within the system. We are going to skip over that step, but we'll look later how you do that when we go through the menu options. For now, we're actually going to skip to step 5, which is uploading your parties. We'll come back to how you advance your rounds, but for now, we are going to skip to step 5. Okay, so this is another page that may look slightly different. Again, if you're connected to ICS or if you use Campus Director. So those schools who use ICS will have that import from ICS button. Campus Director, again, you're going to need to download a file of the party assignments and upload it here. We have again provided the detailed instructions and examples. This file is a lot more or less busy. You only have the 2 files or the 2 columns required here. You have your MIN and the party that the PNM is going to be in. So when you download the file from Campus Director, you're going to have a lot more information in that file, so you'll just need to clean it up to only have these 2 columns. And again, making sure that that is just a plain file, and you'll save it as the 97-2003 workbook like previously. And then just something to note, you'll want to make sure that all of your PNMs that are listed will have a party assigned to them. If a PNM does not have a party assigned, they will be updated to an inactive status of regret. You know, as the rounds advance, you may have some members that are not, or new members that, PNMs that will not be returning. So that is fine, but definitely on the first night, you'll want to make sure that everyone has a party assigned, otherwise they will be marked inactive. So if they are coming back, you definitely want to make sure they have that party assigned to them. So we'll go ahead and upload the party here, and then we are doing that for the first round. Going to submit that, and again, we have the successfully uploaded little green box letting us know that that is good to go. And we will go back to the setup page. Now, moving forward, steps 4 through 8, they're not going to disappear as you continue to go through those because you do repeat those steps through the rest of recruitment. So they're going to be there for you to review anytime you need to repeat those steps. So that way those instructions are always there. They won't disappear whenever you advance your rounds and upload your parties. So now that we've reviewed setting up the chapter, we are going to go through the rest of the menu items on the left side of the page. So everything we reviewed from the setup page can be found within the menu as well. But we're going to start with the P&M list here that we're already on. Again, the setup page is going to be up here. If you ever need to access it again, you can. And it's always going to be on that P&M list, just hidden up here in the left corner. So the P&M list is your primary hub of information for admins. This is where you can review all your P&Ms, their information, scores that are put in. So, once people start voting, when that comes in. And then we also have up here, we call this the hamburger icon. If you click on that, in the right-hand corner, you have a few different options. So you can refresh and recalculate at any point during recruitment. This is just going to give you the most up-to-date information and scores as your members are submitting votes. And then if you select to export your P&M list, it's going to export a report of all the P&M information. And then you can choose to select columns as well. So these are going to show which columns are going to be pulled into your P&M list. So if we want to narrow this down and pull some different data in, we can. We definitely want to make sure that we have all of our rounds selected so that when voting comes in, you will see those. Admin notes. Let's do college GPA for those who are not freshmen. So you'll see the list went ahead and updated to pull in those new columns. So sometimes you may want to narrow it down, look at only certain round scores, whatever it may be. You can always refer to the select columns and select and deselect whatever you're wanting to pull into this list. But for now, these are the ones that we have selected. So once you have adjusted your columns, you can move those around by clicking on the column and pulling it over. Now, if at any point you do refresh your page, it's going to go back to its original placement, but your columns will still stay the same in there. And then some of your fields, you're able to double click in and add notes. So for admin notes, you can say graduated early from high school. If you want to make sure that is noted within here, you can also click into the interest to update that. And you can double click in the green space of the picture to see the picture URL. So if you ever don't have a picture that was uploaded based on the information you were given, you can always pull a picture URL for that P&M. Just make sure when you're doing that and you're pasting it in here that you are pulling the actual image and copying the image address and then pasting that rather than the URL of the page that the picture is located. So just be careful with that there, making sure you're getting the picture URL and not the page that the picture is located on. If you plan on using the star featured for a matching tool, we pulled in that column, and you can just double click on the star next to a member's name, and that way it will star the P&M to be able to be set up for matching with members that you have starred as well, which we'll talk a little bit more about how you can star your users when we get to your user page. And then at the top of the page here, you can see that you can search and sort the P&M list. So You can type in any words that appear on the P&M list, even if the columns are not showing. So for example, we don't have the class column right now, but if we wanted to pull freshmen, we can type that in and it's going to sort everybody who has freshmen within their profile into this list. Now, the thing you want to be careful with on this is if they have freshmen in their interest or their admin notes, maybe because they are a sophomore and it says something about freshman year transfer or something like that, it's still going to pull in here if that word matches any other columns that are on there, not just class or whatever you may be searching by. So if you want a more refined search, you can click on this icon here and it will give you some advanced search options that can help you narrow down that search if you need that. Then you can also sort your P&M list by either the sort bar up here, or you can double click on the column you want to sort by. So here we are sorting that by party. So when you double click on that column, it's going to just sort it in ascending party order. So now if we go back to the hamburger menu icon up here, we can look at the slideshow. This is an in-browser slideshow that we provide. So any P&Ms currently showing in the P&M list, so for example, we've searched freshmen, so only freshmen will be in this slideshow. So if you want everybody on there, just make sure you don't have anything within the search bar. But you can navigate this by using your tab on your keyboard to go through the different members. And then here also has the menu icon up here where you can add or remove any columns or any information you don't want seen here, or you can add things in. So whatever you're looking to have on there, you can pull in and out of the system, and you can just have that in your slides as you go through. If you are wanting to print this slideshow, you can hit the P key on your keyboard, and that is going to turn the page blue, where you can then right click, hit print, and print that slideshow. Now, make sure you wait till your preview loads so you can make sure that those are all fitting onto the pages accordingly. You may have to rescale those, especially if you've pulled more information into the slideshow than what all we currently have, but you'll probably have to rescale that so it is printing with all that information on one page. And then whenever you are done with the slideshow, you can hit the escape key and it's going to take you back to your P&M list. So now that we've reviewed the P&M list, let's go ahead and look at everything else in that drop-down menu. So next on that, we have add a P&M. So this is going to be where you can manually add P&M one at a time. You'll note that the only required information here is the MIN and the first and last name of the P&M. So you can always fill out all the information, but those are the only things you need in order to add the P&M into your list. So you can do this if you only have a few P&Ms and just want to add them here, or if you have more that are coming in, you can always go to the upload P&M, which is the page we looked at earlier, and upload that through the Excel file. Now, if you're uploading additional P&Ms, but you don't want to refine the list because you have to clean up that list from Campus Director, if you don't want to delete all your P&Ms that you've already previously uploaded, you don't have to. It is going to pull that information in based on the MIN that is listed for each P&M to ensure that only the new ones listed are added to the system and they're not duplicating any P&Ms that are already within your list. So you're not going to lose any data in that process, but if you just re-upload the file with the new P&Ms listed, it's going to pull those in correctly. After your upload P&Ms, this is the upload party tab. Again, we looked at this earlier when we uploaded parties for open house round. We're going to go ahead and also upload parties for our sisterhood round as well. And we have done that successfully, so that is good to go. And then when we advance our rounds later, that will come in handy. Next, on to the matching feature here. This tool is not a primary function of OmegaRecruit, but it can definitely help you sort through data within the system to determine which members should speak to which P&Ms that will be visiting during the round. So there are 4 different criteria that you can use to generate potential matches. You have your recommendations, which are submitted by members on the ballot, starred P&Ms and members, and then your interest and hometowns. If you use this feature, your members will need to make sure they update their match profile so that there's data available for hometowns and interests in order for them to be matched with P&Ms. So if you ever need a report of just all the matches that members have submitted via recommendations, you can deselect all of these and just use the recommendations category. So that'll generate a report of just those who submitted recommendations on their ballot. But you can also click to deselect any of these that you want and adjust their importance if you have one that is of more importance than another. And then you can also choose to have them as a required field or not. If you select for one of them to be required, that is going to mean that they have to have a recommendation. So even if they have a common interest in hometown, if there's no recommendation that was submitted within the ballot, then they will not show up as a potential match when you generate those matches. So just be careful when using that. And then down here, you'll see that you can put a max number of matches per member and per P&M. This can be any number between 1 and 500. We do recommend starting somewhere between 2 and 5 matches. Depending on the size of your school, that it might be higher, but just the higher the maximum, the more potential matches that you're going to have to sort through when you generate that list. Finally, you can select the round and the party that you are generating matches for. So here we are going to look at open house and just all the parties, and we'll generate matches, and you'll see we have 11 matches that generated in totality. If you are looking at that list and you don't see a match that you know you want a certain member and P&M to speak, you can add that match, select the member, select which P&M, and put the reason and save it. Or if you see one that you want to get rid of because you're like, I don't want, I have a better match for that P&M to speak to within the time frame or whatever it may be, you can click on the check boxes over here and then click delete selected, and it will get rid of any matches that are in that. We do recommend making any adjustments by adding and deleting matches before you do this, but you can also export those within an Excel file or PDF file, but we just, like I said, suggest doing it after you've made your adjustments so that they reflect within that file as well. Okay, and next we are going to look at these menu options here. The comments, this is just going to download a report of any comments that were posted on the ballot. Same with this here, this is recommendations. So if you use this URL to give to your alum to submit recommendations, this will just export any recommendations that were received through this link. And then looking at the reports, this is going to show you a summary of a lot of different things here. So under the P&M report, this is going to be the P&Ms and their scores. This can be a really great report to start your list at the end of each round. You can select to only include the active P&Ms and also include comments if you'd like. And then when you export that file, you'll see all their information within their columns, as well as votes that are made to the P&Ms. So this is what that file will kind of look like. Now, right now, if you see any negative ones within that, you don't have to be concerned. That is just what it shows until votes are submitted for the P&Ms in that round. So at the end of open house, you may pull this and this will be fine, but your sisterhood and philanthropy pref scores, they're still going to have negative ones because those rounds have not occurred yet, so no votes have been submitted. But this is just a really good overview to look at. And then you also have your votes report. Again, you can select actives and you can include vote values on this, and you can narrow it down to specific rounds if you'd like, and sort it by users or sort it by P&Ms. Another way to download your comments, you can kind of filter this down a little more from this screen. Then we have another slideshow option. This is going to download into a PowerPoint. So some people prefer PowerPoint over the in-browser slideshow. So just depending on what you prefer, but the PowerPoint one does have a little bit less information than that in-browser slideshow. And then you also have your voter distribution. This is just overall distribution report of voting trends for the chapter as a whole. We also offer this information for each individual P&M and user, so you can look at them individually to see it broken down. Distribution reports can just help you better analyze and understand the data and trends behind the votes that are coming through. And then a new thing that we have added is the vote audit report here. You can pull this for any of your rounds or narrow it down, but this is going to give you any votes that have changed or have been edited within the recruitment period. So if at any point you have to edit that, it's going to show you what the original vote was, what it was changed to, and then what admin made that correction. So this is just going to help to better keep a paper trail of what exactly votes have been changed from and to and who have made those corrections. Now moving on to the user dropdown, looking at the user list here, this is going to show all your users that are within the system. If they have not registered their account, it will go ahead and have a button over here where you can send them a registration email to get them started with that if they have lost their original one or whatever it may be. And then you can make them an admin, restrict them. You can also delete them from this. And this is where you can star your members as well. So if you have some members who are just really good recruiters and you want them to be able to be matched with more P&Ms, this is where you can star them for that option. And clicking on that user is going to take you where you can see any votes they've submitted, comments they've submitted, their profile. You can add votes to them when you have voting open. When you're adding the votes, though, make sure you're in the round that the vote you're adding, which we'll look at that later. And then this is where you would see their voter distribution for the individual user as well. And adding users under this here, you can either do that individually or with an Excel file. All you need for that is the first and last name and the email address to get that put in the system. And as soon as you upload them or add them one by one, depending on which you prefer, they are going to receive that email that we looked at earlier to go ahead and either log in or get their account set up. And then here we have user reports. This is just kind of a basic report that's going to pull all the information that you see here for your users. So we also have the hub. This shows just various graphs and key data points. You can use the arrow here to see where those data points are pulling from, and you can download that. But this is just another place where you can review data on a deeper level to get the most information from the system that's available to you here. So below the hub is your vote section. This is where you would submit votes, which we will look at in a moment. And then looking at your chapter tab here, this is where you can advance your parties and rounds. So I'm going to go ahead and open it to Open House Party 1 so that when we go to do our practice voting, That is good to go. Here is where you edit rounds, which we looked at earlier. This is where you can edit your chapter and add your recruitment dates in. This is where we can rename those custom columns if you chose to use those on your P&M list upload. So you can put in new names for them here. This tab here is where you can connect and disconnect from ICS. So before recruitment starts, this is where you would connect your account. For if you want to run through with the practice files, you can disconnect on this page as well if it's already connected, and use those practice files and then reconnect before actual recruitment. And then this last tab here is your master reset. This is going to reset your system. Your users will still be within the system, unlike the master reset we do over the summer, but it's just going to delete any votes, comments, P&Ms, set the system back to basically before recruitment so that you can either start a new recruitment, so this is good to use between your fall and spring, or after you have run through practice recruitment. If you use those practice files, you can use this master reset to clear the system before you go ahead and start actual recruitment. Right here we have a configuration page. This is going to look different for some different organizations, but just make sure you review this, especially if your organization has specifications. If they do, it will have your Greek letters rather than the word configuration listed here, but this is where you will find how votes are calculated. So even if you don't have a national specific configuration, you can look here and see how those are calculated within the P&M list. And we have a training tab here on our menu. This is going to take you step by step through going through practice recruitment and screenshots. So setting up your chapter, all of that is under this page here. Then you have the Help Me. This has a bunch of different FAQs that you can search through. So you can literally just use this here, search for something you may be looking for, and it will pull those different articles for you to review. And another place that you can use for that is the Get Help. This is going to take you to our knowledge base, another place you can search for different articles if you maybe did not find them on the Help Me tab. And then you can also submit a request here. This is the same as emailing our support. You can choose your issue and then put in all your information, put in your priority, and you can even include attachments. We do say with this, make sure you are putting as much information as possible so that our support team can best assist you. The more information you're able to give them, the better they are able to help you with the situation. So if you are not able to find something within the different things we have set up here, you can always email our support team. Looking at that, we went ahead and opened this. So we are just going to look really quick at putting in some votes. So this is what a basic ballot will look like. Again, if you have national specific things, then your ballots may look a little different, but you can put in a comment, put in your vote after using the drop down, and even put in a recommended match for that P&M. So we can put in a few different votes here. And as you can see, as you vote on a P&M, they're going to disappear from that list. So you can't vote on them multiple times. And then if we go back to the P&M list over here, you can see that that information will pull into your round. So we can see scoring over here and within the overall column. Now, if anything needs to change, you can either do that from the P&M or the user. So you can click on the P&M here. You can look at their voting details and edit that vote if that needs to change, and then save it, or you can delete the vote. Look at comments that were put in, P&M details, and then this is their voter distribution recruitment stat, so you can look at here. And then the other way to change that is if you go to the user list, you can go to whichever user submitted the vote. And from there, you can edit the votes. And you can see comments under here, and you can even add votes for your members under here. This is what I was saying earlier. If you are going to add a vote, just make sure you are in the round that you are adding a vote for. Same with editing the votes. Make sure you are in the round that you're looking to edit that on. Okay, and that is kind of everything to go over today. Well, one more thing we can look at is when viewing your voting activity, you can also look in this little top corner here. It'll tell you the votes that have come in, just one of the many different ways you can look at different votes coming in. But that is kind of everything. So just to reiterate, preparing for recruitment is going to ensure you the best success. So make sure that you are getting your members logged in before recruitment starts, so you're not struggling with that towards the end there. Running through practice with the test files that are provided, or if you have some that you want to make up yourself, you can, but we do have those provided for ease for you guys. And then training. So we'll have this webinar posted for you all here soon, and there are previous webinars also on our YouTube page. And we also have the various different materials that we showed you guys for different information within the app that you can review to just make sure you are an expert on that when time comes for recruitment. And we will now open up for Q&A.
Yes, thank you, Sarah Beth. We got some good questions here. If you still have questions, feel free to go ahead and submit those, but I'll just review a few that came in. We got several questions about ICS, and for those campuses that use ICS, about making sure that they know how to do their practice rounds. And then even those that may use Campus Director, just making sure that everyone knows how to do that master reset before getting the data from ICS or Campus Director. So first with ICS, if your campus uses ICS, in order to do the practice rounds, you're first going to have to go to this page here that Sarah Beth showed us, and that was under chapter, and then ICS info, and then you'll come here and you'll have an option to disconnect from ICS. And then once you do that, then when you go back to P&Ms, you should have the ability to upload a file and then do all of your practice rounds and your mock voting and all of that stuff. And then once you're done with all of your practice, then you can go back here, go to that master reset, remove all of the test data, and then go back and reconnect to ICS. And then this is the same process you would do with Campus Director, except we don't have an integration with Campus Director, so you won't have to connect or disconnect, but you'll still want to make sure that you're coming here and doing the master reset to clear out that test data. Is there anything else you would add to that, Sarah Beth?
No, I think that's all. Yeah, just with the ICS, you can disconnect and connect here to run through that. And then, but for both, you will need to do the master reset just before you start putting in your actual data for recruitment.
Yes, yes. Okay. And then also just some more on the same topic of prepping for recruitment. Please make sure that, I know Sarah Beth has already said this a couple of times, but I just can't reiterate it enough. Please make sure that everybody in your chapter practices and tests their logins before you begin recruitment. We see that all the time right there at the last minute. People are trying to get logged in to vote, and they can't. And so we're getting these, emails in the middle of the night where people can't log in. So don't save yourself that stress. Go ahead and make sure everybody can get logged in just one more time before recruitment starts. I know we're a little bit over time. There were a couple of other questions that came in that I wasn't able to get to, so we can go ahead and just answer those live real quick. I think it will be relatively brief. One is that came in from Paige. She was asking about the MIN or the MIN. they do not use that for COB. And so what should they put in the place of the MIN when uploading the file? I wasn't quite sure about that answer, Sarah Beth.
With formal recruitment, you're definitely going to have the MIN. If you're doing COB setup, then I would think you can just number them 1 through whatever needs to be for your MIN. Really, that is just a key. But even if you're using like ICS, you definitely should still, when you're pulling those users in, they should have an MIN that's associated with the PNM. But for COB, though, I think you can also, no, I'm sorry, that's, I'm getting that confused with ICS. You can set up your chapter specifically for that in ICS, but here you would just, I would just number the users accordingly.
Okay, got you. So go ahead and just assign your own MIN to everyone.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay. All right. And then 2 other questions I haven't got to yet. We'll go ahead and answer those live. Aniston said, do we download the PNM spreadsheet example? And if so, how do we do that? Because she's not seeing a way to download it. Do you mind showing that screen again?
Yeah, so on your, when you go to PNM and PNM list, if you go back to that setup screen that's always going to be in that upper left-hand corner, you can download the PNM list here for your upload. And then when you're actually doing your actual recruitment, ICS, you won't have to do a download. You'll just import that information. But if you're using Campus Director, they will have an Excel file that you'll download that should have that information. You'll just need to reformat it the way that's shown on the upload PNM screen.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you. So that link there is actually what you click on to download that practice file. Okay. And then last question is from Meredith. She wanted to make sure that this recording is going to be on posted on YouTube. And yes, we will actually email out the recording to everyone that registered for tonight's webinar. So even if someone did not if somebody registered and they weren't able to make it to this live webinar, we still have their information and they will get the recording, as well as, of course, everybody who attended. So the email will go out with the link to the recording, and it will be on our YouTube channel. So great question. All right, well, I think that wraps it up. Again, thanks for joining and getting tonight's training. We again recommend that you make sure that you run through that practice with everyone, make sure that your users are able to get logged in and have downloaded the app. Of course, reach out to us if you have any questions. We are here to help, and best of luck with this year's recruitment. You all have a fantastic evening. Thank you all.